Invasion is a VR animation experience where you are a character. So it's about these two aliens who come to Earth to come invade and dominate, and instead of being thwarted by Earth's citizens, who you expect to be humans, they're thwarted by two adorable little bunnies, and you are one of them. So it was always created to be an episodic. It was planned to have 6 episodes total, actually 5, and then the bunny became a big star, so we have more bunny action. But given my Zynga background training, which was all about data, we didn't want to invest in another episode until knowing that the first one did well. So given how successful Invasion was, being the most popular VR animation, the most popular VR content out there actually, given that, we decided, yes, we want to invest in a second episode. So the second episode will come out soon, but Oculus Connect actually debuted a first look of Asteroids at the keynote speech at Oculus Connect a few weeks ago. I do believe that VR is going to take longer than everybody thinks it will. There's a lot of excitement, and rightfully so, because VR is magic. When you put on the headset, you know it's going to come. The question is when is it going to get here, which is why we raised our funding and why I'm incredibly frugal, because it's keeping that burn rate low so that we can last as long as possible. So make sure that we don't die off before the mass market comes. But there are companies already monetizing, and we know that we could as well. We released Invasion for free because it was our first. It was honestly an experiment. We didn't expect to get the validation or the response that we did get from it. So we released it for free, but there are games out there, we know, as well as films. But we know that there's a game out there that on the HTC Vive that already made $1 million in its first month, in the first few weeks already. So there is a path to monetization, and there are always the traditional ways to monetize, and there's ways to monetize in the home and also outside the home. So there are a lot of VR theaters, for example, that are licensing content. So that is for sure a revenue stream, or even the fact that right now we announced a partnership with Roth Kirschenbaum Films. Roth Kirschenbaum Films are the ones behind Maleficent, Alice in Wonderland series. We just announced a partnership where they've decided that they want to take Invasion from VR and turn it into a big screen feature movie. So there are ways to have, we're creating IP, right? Because we're not doing service-based, we're creating all our original IP because we have Eric, and he's created Madagascar, the franchise, and he's a storyteller. So in creating that, that content can go anywhere as well. So that's another stream of revenue as well. But right now, I think it's very much about experimenting with the different revenue streams, as I did at Zynga. Zynga was all about experimentation. You have a hypothesis, you test out that monetization stream and see which one yields the best results. And we're going to have the same strategy that I had at Zynga, which is testing. But for it to be hugely profitable, there needs to be a mass market. And because I believe that it's going to take longer than people expect, I think it is going to take some time before it's a huge, there's huge revenue streams from that. And I think the thing that's most necessary for VR to become big is not actually the headsets, it's the content. There's not enough content out there. And the HMDs, Oculus, HTC themselves know this, which is why they've set aside humongous funds just to fund the content, because they realize that this is what's going to bring VR to the masses. That's what our company is focused on, because a lot of VR content right now is geared towards early adopters, hardcore games, or there's a lot of documentaries, say on Syria. We're focused on universally appealing content. I think that's why Samsung uses Invasion as their main demo, because kids, grandmas, everyone in between likes it. That's how VR is going to get out to the masses. It's people like Baobab and other content creators to create more things for people to have reasons to purchase the headsets. And more importantly, for monetization, it's reasons to repeatedly pick up the headsets over and over for higher engagement numbers. So I can pretend like I know, because that's what I'm supposed to, but the truth is that nobody knows, right? And everybody, even during my talk at The View, I said you should ignore everything I say, because it's too early to be saying what you can and can't do, but I can say what our hypothesis is and the creative direction we're going in, which is believing that storytelling is still the most important thing of all. Lord of the Rings was a great book. It turned into a great movie. It could be a great play, could be a great VR experience. There's still a story deep down inside that is the thing that matters, but every single medium is a new set of creative tools. It's just a new toolbox, but that you can use to tell a story in a different way, in better or worse ways, right? Some things in books can be told in a film in a completely different way and enhance certain things. And so we think VR is just yet another toolbox and a set of tools to create a story in a different way, in a more unique way. We think the power of VR is to make you believe in that character and have a bond with that character even more so than a 2D traditional screen. And if you can get people to care about that character even more, then you care about the story more, because the story is about what happens to that character. If you hate the character, you want them to fail. And if you love that character, you want them to succeed. And that is why you continue watching a movie, even in a 2D thing, because you want to see what happens to those characters. And VR allows you to, something in your animal brain makes you believe that that character is real, because they're in your world and possibly even interacting with you. So you feel this caring for this character, especially if they acknowledge you, then you matter to them. And so they matter even more to you. So being able to form that bond and connection and empathy, we think makes your caring for that character even stronger. So then you want to watch the rest of the experience because you want to know what happens for that. We believe in still the traditional 3-act structure. Or I know people are doing different types, or we're doing episodes. So each episode could be the 3-act structure, but you can string all the episodes together to create something even bigger. And a lot of the questions you were asking yesterday about the TV versus film, we are thinking a lot about that, because we are doing episodic content right now, that we have some that are just longer form, one piece. But you can develop the storyline over a long period of time. But right now we still believe in the 3-act structure, where there's still a climax in the middle. And we believe that there's ways to still direct the viewer's eyes and to continue the pacing that the director wants. So Eric has developed techniques to direct the viewer's eyes. He believes that you don't have to give up complete control. You give up some control because the audience can control the composition, but he feels his job is to inspire you to compose the shots he would have created himself. So for example, when that bunny comes and sniffs you, you're going to look at that bunny. And when the bunny looks to the right, you turn to the right because you want to see what that bunny's looking at. And as soon as you turn right, he immediately brings down a spaceship so that you don't keep on turning around. You're caught by something exciting. You want to see what's happening there. And then the spaceship goes behind the tree, so you watch the spaceship go, and then you're anticipating the music is building up for dramatic tension, and you want to see what happens when it comes out. But he basically got the audience to all do exactly what he wanted them to do without the audience knowing it. And so the audience feels like they have the control, but he feels that as a good director, he's getting you to do what he wants. So you still have control over pacing. Now there are moments of interactivity, right? So you look down, you have a bunny body, you squat, it gets fatter, and in the HTC Vive version, you can hop around the room, and people do that. And the other characters follow you. They're tracking your gaze, where your head is, your position in space. So there is interactivity, but we haven't paused the film. So I know a lot of like Google Spotlight Stories, they have the technology that lets you pause and then re-trigger based off of where you look. Eric does want to experiment and is experimenting with that, but he doesn't want you to pause for too long to the point where your emotions then slow down. So that's his main thing about games. He's like, oftentimes you have the story, the cutscene, and you're excited, and then let me kill some zombies. And then so it goes down, and then you go up again. So it's just constant. He wants to get you to the climax and get you to the excitement point in a film / game as well. So it's interesting. We're experimenting with different ways, but another thing he really wanted to experiment with Invasion is making you a character. Inside that, what does that mean? If you were Jasmine in Aladdin, or Beast, or Beauty in Beauty and the Beast, what does that mean? Does it start feeling like a game where you're a character and you're thinking about yourself? Who am I? Am I the hero? What does the game maker want me to do? What am I supposed to do now? He wants to avoid that. He wants you to still think about yourself, because in a passive theater, in a film, you're not thinking about yourself. You don't think about your ego. You just think about those characters and what they feel like and what they're experiencing. So he was concerned at first by making a character are you thinking about yourself too much? But I think he did a pretty good job in Invasion, where you didn't feel too much pressure in it. You weren't thinking like, what am I supposed to do? You're still caring about the other characters. At the same time, because you're a part of it and you're a character, the stakes are slightly higher. And so you do care a little more about what's going on because you form this bond with the bunny and you want to protect her because you care about her. And that's something we couldn't have done in a 2D screen. We are building technology. And that's one of the reasons why the venture capitalists want to fund us, because VCs don't traditionally want to fund content, and they were especially interested in the technology component of what we were doing. So we're building a lot of the tools and a lot of technology from the ground up as we go. So as we're creating, we're like, oh, realize that we need this, and then we go build that, as well as some things that we had already planned before even starting the company. There are off-the-shelf tools, and we use some of them. For example, we used Unreal Engine for Invasion, but there are other things that you can't get off the shelf. I mean, there are tools that you can use, but you have to beat them into submission and do what you want them to do. So sometimes it's easier to be able to create either customized build on top of them or build your own so that you can get it to do exactly what you want it to do. It's been wonderful just being able to spend time with these visionaries within animation. I've heard about this conference from all of our advisors, Glenn Keane, Glenn Entis, Alvy Ray Smith. At all the advisor meetings, they all end up talking to each other about this. So I'm just always listening. I'm like, what is this View conference? How do I get to it? And they're like, well, we can ask Maria, but we don't know. Maybe she'll invite you. But several of them met at the View conference. So Alvy and Glenn, Glenn and Alvy always knew each other from before, but I believe Glenn Keane and Alvy met for the first time at the View conference. So just amazing connections being made here, and the level of camaraderie you develop because you're eating every single meal with them means that you actually become friends. It's not like a networky business thing, right? You actually get to know these people, and it's great to be with people who are so like-minded. The animation industry is pretty small, but it's located in all these different places, right? Like Vancouver, the Bay Area, LA, even blue sky on the East Coast. To be able to get us all together in one place is magical.